हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रहे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. Again, my Dandvat Pranam to each one of you. I'll share my screen and we'll get started. So we are going to discuss chapter 3 from Canto 9th today. Uh, just let me share first. I hope you can see my screen. So the description or the topic of this chapter is the marriage of Sukanya and Chavana Muni. So we'll talk about it. First, let's try to take an overview of where we have reached and what is being discussed in Canto 9. So if you look at, so we finished sorry, we finished Canto 8 and which had the description of and the pastime of Bali Maharaj. And then we are going into Canto 9. Canto 9's topic is liberation, or the title of the Canto 9 is liberation. And then here we get description of some of the dynasties of and sons of Manu. And we have a story of King Sudyumna who becomes a woman, who goes to a forest, and then there he becomes a woman named Ila. And then there is a description of the dynasties of the son of Manu. And in this chapter 2, we see that Sudyumna, he gets a boon from Vashishta Muni. I mean, he requests Vashishta Muni when he lets him know about his situation where he has become a woman, because he entered a forest where Lord Shiva and Parvati had done tapasya, and they had, I mean, Lord Shiva had made that forest that where whoever enters that forest becomes a woman. So there is a story behind that, and that was already discussed. And so Sudyamna actually becomes a woman when he enters there, and then he prays to, or he requests Vashishta Muni to take him out of that predicament, and then he gets that benediction that he will be a man for 1 month and woman for 1 month, and that's how he has some offsprings, and then he gets them married, and he accepts the Vanaprastha ashram. And then there is a description of, I mean, basically this whole topic is about Vaivasta Manu and his sons and his offsprings basically. Now, one of the sons of Vaivasta Manu is Ishwaku Maharaj, and in that dynasty, Lord Ramchandra comes, and that's how we'll have story of Lord Ramchandra also in this canto. So in this dynasty of Vaivastha Manu, he has a son, and that's what we will look at the chapter 3, in chapter 3 about that particular son. So we will be this is chapter 2. I will go to chapter 3. So now this chapter describes the dynasty of Saryati. Saryati is a son of Vaivastha Manu, and the description about the dynasty of Saryati is given in this chapter, and we will go through this chapter. It has 36 shlokas, and some of these shlokas have very good purports, and it talks about grahastha life and how what was our Vedic culture about this grahastha life. So we'll look at that in detail, and there are very good purports given by Srila Prabhupada in those shlokas. So we'll go through them one by one. So let's get started. So basically, we are talking about Vaivastha Manu and his dynasty. And among his dynasty, there is a son named Saryati, and Saryati has a daughter named Sukanya, and he gets her married to Chavanna Muni. And why he gets her married to Chavanna Muni, that is also described. So we will talk about it. So let's get started. So 9.3.1. So first few shlokas don't have any purport. They are pretty just straightforward. So we'll read the translation and move forward. And then there are very good purports, and we'll have some discussion on those purports. So for 9.3.1, Srila Sukadev Goswami continued. O king, so Sukadev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. O king, Saryati, O king, Saryati, another son of Manu, was a ruler completely aware of Vedic knowledge. He gave instruction about the functions for the second day of the yajna to be performed by the descendants of Angira. So Parikshit Maharaj had asked Sukadev Goswami to describe about these dynasties, and that's where the pastime of Lord Ramchandra also comes in this canto. And so Sukadev Goswami is basically describing the dynasties. So we are looking at the dynasties of sun god and dynasties of moon god and how they get combined together also. So that all that is described here. So text 2. 9.3.2. Anybody wants to read, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Can I do the verse also, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please, Mataji. Yeah, please.
Srimad Bhagavatam 9.3.2. Sukanya nama tasyasid kanya kamalalochana taya sartham vanagato hyagamach chavanashramam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sharyati had a beautiful lotus-eyed daughter named Sukanya, with whom he went to the forest to see the ashrama of Chavanamuni.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you.
So Kamala Lochanam, right? So the Supreme Lord is also described, right? He has lotus-eyed. So Saryati has a daughter who's lotus-eyed, right? The Supreme Lord is also described with this word Kamala Lochanam. 9.3.3. Anybody wants to read? Okay, I'll read. While that Sukanya, surrounded by her friends, was collecting various types of fruits from the trees in the forest, she saw within the hole of a earthworm two things glowing like luminaries. So they have visited the ashram, and then she's surrounded by her friends and she sees something, and it intrigues her, and then she does something. So let's see what she does with. Let's go to the next text. 9.3.4. As if, yeah, Prabhuji, go ahead. Satyadev Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. ते दैव चोदिता बाला ज्योतिषी कण्टकेन वै कण्टकेन वै अविद्यान्युतभावेन सु शुश्रासा शुश्रावासृक् ततो बहिः purport translation by Prabhupada ki jai. As if included by providence, the girl ignorantly pierced those two glowworms with a thorn, and when they were pierced, blood began to ooze out of them. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, as if induced by providence, the girl ignorantly pierced those two glowworms. So she just out of ignorance and maybe curiosity, because she might have never seen like such kind of a glow coming from. So we are talking about a earthworm hole, which is very small, right? And you are seeing a light coming out of it. So she just pierces that with a thorn to see what is there, because she's intrigued by that. But I mean that word, as if induced by providence, now that has some meaning, so we'll see what it means.
Can I do, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
शकृन्मूत्रनिरोधो भूत् सैनिकानां च तत्क्षणात् राजर्षिस्तम् उपालक्ष्य पुरुषान् विस्मितो ब्रवीत्. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereupon all the soldiers of Sharyati were immediately obstructed from passing urine and stool. Upon perceiving this, Sharyati spoke to his associates in surprise.
Yeah. So immediately after doing that, what has happened? Now the soldiers of Saryati, they are obstructed from passing urine and stool. So because of what she did, this is what is the consequence. And Saryati was surprised by this. Maharaj Saryati is surprised by this, because why this has all of a sudden happened. He doesn't know that his daughter has actually pierced that earthworm hole. So he's surprised. What has happened all of a sudden? So let's see. Uh, I'll read the translation if nobody wants to do that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. अप्यभद्रं न युष्माभिः भार्गवस्य विचेष्टितं व्यक्तं केशापि मस्तस्य कृतमाश्रमदूषणम्. How strange is that one of us has attempted to do something wrong to Chavanamuni, the son of uh, Bhrigu. It certainly appeared that someone someone among us has polluted this ashrama. Right.
Hare Krishna. So now he realizes that something has gone wrong, because they have come to the ashram of Chavanya Muni, and something has been done wrong, and that's why this is the consequence. Because Chavanya Muni is a very, I mean, he's a yogi, right? He's a very elevated soul, and something wrong. So the king is making, I mean, he's understanding that something wrong has been done, and that's why we are facing the consequence. So anybody wants to read? Okay, I'll read.
I'll
I'll
read,
read,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead,
Okay.
Raman Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Being very much afraid, the girl Sukanya said to her father, I have done something wrong, for I have ignorantly pierced those two luminous substances with a thorn.
Okay. So now Sukanya, or the girl, informs her father that I have done something wrong. The father was not aware of it, and I have ignorantly pierced these two luminous substances with a thorn. And what are those two luminous substances? We'll see in the next shloka. Okay, so
After,
yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
after hearing this statement by his daughter, King Saryati was very much afraid. In various ways, he tried to appease Shavana Muni, for it was he who sat within the whole of the earthworm.
Hare Krishna. So the daughter has actually pierced the eyes of Chavanya Muni. That illumination was coming from the eyes of Chavanya Muni, and the daughter has actually pierced the eyes of Chavanya Muni, and the king understands this, and he becomes very much afraid. So now what he's trying to do is he's trying to ask for forgiveness and try to appease Chavanya Muni, right? So let's see what happens next. 9.3.9.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I will read.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada ki Jai. King Shravyati, being very con- contemplative and thus understanding Chavana Muni's purpose, gave his daughter in charity to the sage. Thus released from danger with great difficulty, he took permission from Chavana Muni and returned home. Can I read purport also,
Yes,
Prabhuji?
yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Purport. The king, after hearing the statement of his daughter, certainly told the great sage Chavanamuni everything about how his daughter had ignorantly committed such an offense. The Muni, however, inquired from the king whether the daughter was married. In this way, the king understood the purpose of great sage Chavanamuni, tada abhiprayam Agnayam, immediately gave the Muni his daughter in charity and escaped the danger of being cursed. Thus, with the permission of great sage, the king returned home. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, so this, see, you see, by will of providence, right? The shloka before that says that by will of providence, the daughter actually pierced the eyes of Shravanya Muni. So you can see that all this is happening for a purpose or a cause, right? And uh, the Muni is also inquiring from the king whether the daughter is married, because he wants to, I mean, he wants to marry her. It's not that for the purpose. So he wants to marry, and that's why he asks the king, is she married? And the king, understanding that what is Chavanya Muni's purpose, he actually gets his daughter married to the to that sage. And we can see that happening. Even Devhuti was married, right? Uh, to the Kardamba Muni, and we'll see how King Saryati's daughter, who is getting married to Chavanya Muni, and what is the status of Chavanya Muni, how is he, and all that we'll see in the further shloka. But the king, in order to please Chavanya Muni, actually gets his daughter married to him, and he basically escapes from the danger, because the Muni could have cursed the king, and he would have to basically bear the curse of such a great offense, because the offense was committed. I mean, Chavanya Muni was just sitting and doing his tapasya, and somebody came and pricked his eyes. So it was a great offense done to Chavanya Muni, and he could have definitely cursed the king and his dynasty. But the Chavanya Muni, being also compassionate, he asked whether your daughter is married, and I'm ready to marry her, and you get her married to me. And that's how the king agrees also and escapes from this great danger. So Chavanya Muni is now married to the daughter of the king Saryati. So now let's see what happens next.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Go
Hmm.
ahead.
सुकन्या च वनं प्राप्य पतिं परमकोपनं प्रणयामास चित्ताग्ना अप्रमत्तानुवृत्तिभिः. Chavanamuni was very irritable, irritable. But since Sukanya had gotten him as her husband, she dealt with him carefully according to his mood. Knowing his mind, she performed services to him without being bewildered.
Yeah.
Purport. This is an indication of the relationship between husband and wife. A great personality like Chavanamuni has the tem- temperament of always waiting to be in a superior position. Such a person cannot submit to anyone. Therefore, Chavanamuni had an irritable temperament. His wife Sukanya could understand his attitude, and under the circumstances, she treated him accordingly. If any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband's temperament and please him. This is this is victory for a woman. Even in dealing with the Lord Krishna with his different queens, it has been seen that although the queens were daughters of great kings, they placed themselves before Lord Krishna as his maid servants. However, great however great a woman may be, she must place herself before her husband in this way. That is to say that she must be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Then her life will be successful. When the wife becomes a uh, irritable as the husband, then life at home is sure to be disturbed or ultimately completely broken. In in this In the modern day, the wife is never under submissive, and therefore home life is broken even by a slight incident. Either the wife or husband may take advantage of the diverse laws. According to the Vedic law, however, there is no such thing as diverse laws, and a woman must be trained to submissive to the will of her husband. Westerners contend that this is a slave mentality for the wife. Hmm. Must slave mentality. Sorry guys, I forgot.
Slave mentality for the wife, but
Hmm.
factually it is not.
No. It is the tactic by which a woman can conquer the heart of her husband, however irritable or cruel he may be. In this case, we clearly see that although Chavanamuni was not young, but indeed old enough to be Sukanya's grandfather, and was also very irritable. Sukanya, the beautiful young daughter of king, submitted herself to the old husband and tried to please him in all respects. Thus, she was a faithful and chaste wife. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is a very heavy purport, right? And in today's day and time, this will be, I mean, this will be like people will treat this as very blasphemous, right? They will say this is against feminism and so on and so forth. But um, but if you look at it, this was how the Vedic culture is about, right? There is nothing called as divorce in our Vedic culture. In fact, there is no Sanskrit word for divorce. And and once a woman is married to a man, it was considered that she will be with that man for her throughout her life. Now, please understand that that's why, I mean, it was in earlier times, both men and women were trained to be good husband and wife. So the training was very simple, right? I mean, the woman was taught to be submissive, and the man was taught to have good Vedic principles and have good education, so that he is faithful to her wife, to his wife, and the wife is submissive to the husband. This was a very simple training given in the house, nothing great, right? The children were trained, right? They could see their parents, how they interacted with their spouses, and from that the children used to learn. But now the modern culture is that the husband is working and the wife is working. Wife is spending most of the time in the office, and the office environment is very, very, you can say, it's always irritable. Something is going on always in the office, right? So the wife carries that temperament at home, right? Where she has been, I mean, she's not peaceful, right? In the office, nobody can be, I mean, you're always on your toes doing something. Something has to be done, some firefighting is happening, so you're always doing something which where you feel that I've achieved, and then it is always an irritable environment. And that same environment is then carried at home, and both husband and wife are irritable when they come home. I had read a book actually, and that book had a comparison between this Vedic culture. That author was talking about what happens in a Vedic culture and what is there in the Western culture. And so earlier, marriages also used to happen early, right? The daughter used to get married at the age of maybe 14, 15 years, and the son around 18 to 20 years. And uh, and this marriage used to and the early marriages used to happen, and when the daughter was not getting married, so what the mother used to say to the daughter is that you are old enough. I mean, that author says that the mother used to say to the daughter that you are old enough to have 2 3 children now, please get married. And when he compares that to the Western civilization, he says that the mother in the Western civilization says to her daughter that you are old enough to have 2 3 divorces now. So 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 that is the difference. The second thing he says is that generally, when people invite you to your marriage, right, they expect you to come, and when you don't visit somebody's marriage, right, he will keep saying to you, oh, you did not come to my marriage. So that's in our Vedic culture, right? People expect us to come to their marriage, and then if you don't visit, they will remind you that you did not come to my marriage. Now in the Western world, the same thing happens, right? So somebody says, oh, I'm sorry, I could not come to your marriage. They say, no problem, you can come to my next marriage. So having multiple marriages is so very common in the Western world, but in our Vedic culture, um, I mean, it was that once you get married, you have to, I mean, there was no concept of divorce, and people were trained to make sure that there was no divorce. But now in the modern civilization, and we can see the effects of that with divorce becoming so very common. People are getting married late, and then they cannot adjust with each other, and then there are so many divorces. Now, see, it doesn't mean, I mean, there are duties of husband and wife both, and we can look at that from 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 the teachings of in Ramayan, how Lord Ramchandra and Mother Sita. So there is an incident, right? Now, Lord Ramchandra has, I mean, he is supposed to be coronated, right? And then he gets this news that you have to go to the forest for 14 years. And then he comes and visits Mother Sita. Lord Ramchandra comes and visits Mother Sita. He's actually very pale, and he's tense. And Mother Sita can see that very clearly, that my husband is tense. And then Lord Ramchandra tells Mother Sita that this is what has happened. My mother has Kaikai has asked me to go to forest for 14 years and give the throne to Bharat Maharaj. And then Lord Ramchandra tells Mother Sita that you should stay back in the palace, and then he instructs her what she should do. He tells him that you should fast, and then you should serve everybody. You should serve. So he tells him that you should serve Mother Yashoda, you should serve Mother Kaikai, and you should serve King Dashrath, and you should also serve Bharat Maharaj, and you should never criticize Bharat Maharaj, because great people don't like to be criticized for whatever has happened. So that's how Lord Ramchandra instructs Mother Sita. And then Mother Sita says that, see, I am your wife, and I am ready to, I mean, I am happy to go to hell with you. If you are there, I'm ready to go to hell, and I'm not ready to go to heaven if you're not there. So that is how you can see that how the relationship between husband and wife used to be like. That's an example set in our Vedic culture, how a husband and wife together, they they work together, and they also, I mean, you can look at the instructions of Lord Ram. Lord Ram is saying to Mother Sita that you stay back. See, I cannot take you because the forest is a dangerous place. I may not be able to protect you, and so on and so forth. So he gives lot of reasons, but then Mother Sita says that no, for me, even if it is hell, if you are there, that is heaven for me, and if you are not there, that is hell for me. So I will go with you. So then Lord Ramchandra finally gives up and says that, okay, because Mother Sita also says that if you go and you don't take me, I will simply take poison and die. I'm not going to be alive if you're not there. And looking at her determination, looking at her um, her vows to go with him, Lord Ramchandra basically then agrees to take Mother Sita, and 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 that's how that is how both husband and wife. I mean, we can look at how the wife is ready to serve the husband and how the husband is ready to protect the wife, right? So that is what was our Vedic culture. So there are duties of a wife. So Prabhupada here clearly says that a wife has to serve the husband, and the husband's duty is to always protect the wife, make sure that all her needs and desires are fulfilled to the best of the ability. And that is how this grahastha ashram will continue peacefully. Otherwise, as we can see in today's modern world, both the husband and wife are irritable, and then that's finally leads to a divorce. And divorces are becoming so very common in today's day and time. And here also, just like Devahuti, who served Kardamba Muni with all her chastity, even though Kardama Muni was not even looking at Devahuti, here also we can see that you can see the age gap, right? It is clearly mentioned that Chavanya Muni is very old, is so very old. In fact, it will come further also. He is very old, but yet Sukanya, being a beautiful girl, young beautiful girl, she is serving Chavanya Muni as because he is her husband, and that is what is the basic concept in our Vedic culture. Now, Prabhupada also very clearly says that today's modern thinking or Western thinking will consider this as a slave mentality. With this financial independence coming, right, where both husband and wife are earning, and nobody is dependent on anybody, that's where you see that how easy it is to just break the marriage. Now this has become like a you can say a game between dolls, right? People treat marriage like that. It's become a game between dolls where, okay, I can just separate out if I cannot adjust with this man. But 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 marriage is a very sacred thing in Vedic culture. And see, because by serving the husband, the woman gets 50% of the credit, right, of whatever the husband does, right? Or if the husband is performing some pious activity or doing some tapasya, the woman gets 50% of that credit directly. And just by serving the husband, the wife can go to Vaikuntha, right? That's what is the concept in Vedic culture. That's why the wife is supposed to be submissive. It's not that like what we think, right? The modern thinking is, oh, I am independent, right? It's not like that. So the benefit for the wife is just by serving the husband, she can get out of this material world, right? Because if the husband is good and he he's and the wife assist him in that devotional service, she gets that credit, and she can get out of this material world. And the husband, being well trained, can also then train the wife in devotional service. And that's why this concept of marriage and coming together, and we are coming together to serve the Supreme Lord, and that can only be done when there is good relationship between husband and wife. And that's where so much focus is given to that uh, serving each other, right? The concept of marriage is about serving each other. The wife has to serve the husband, and the husband has to protect and take care of the wife. So but unfortunately, in this modern world, this concept of, I mean, a submissive wife and a protective husband is is basically taken out, and people think that we are now equals. And when you think that we are equal, then one slight prick and the marriage breaks down. But our Vedic literature is filled with this concept where the wife serves the husband, and we have seen this even in our. I mean, I have seen my grandmother serving my grandfather, right? And she used to serve so well that actually the husband becomes a servant of the wife, right? I mean, whatever the wife says, the husband will do. That was how the Vedic culture was, and that's why Prabhupada says that statement is made, right? That it is not, it is a very easy way for the wife to actually control her husband, right? It is not slavery, that is not slave mentality, but this is a tactic. He words, in fact, Prabhupada uses that word tactic here, right? It's a tactic by the wife to control her husband, right? That was the easiest way. You just serve the husband, and then actually the husband becomes your servant. So that was what the understanding was, and the training was given. And but unfortunately now what people have done is they have even there are bad incidents happening. It's not that bad incidents don't happen with women, and that has been actually magnified and shown that that is what it is, and that's why women must become independent. Unfortunately, men are also not trained and women are also not trained, and this concept of marriage is going down the drains slowly. We'll see this happening. Just wait for one generation and you'll see how this goes down further and further and further. So let's I mean, but for us, this concept of that Vedic understanding and is that the wife should be submissive of the husband and the husband must protect the wife. That is what is the Vedic understanding, and that actually leads to peace and happiness in the family. So I think we should follow that. And Prabhupada is clearly is giving an example here of Sukanya and Chavanya Muni. So any questions on this? This is this is a little sensitive thing and a sensitive topic for today's day and time, unfortunately. But this is what is our understanding, and this is how things were done earlier also. This is how the daughters were trained, the men were trained, and when they came together, that training helped them, right? And we can see Sukanya is not please understand that she is not normal. I mean, she's the daughter of the person ruling the planet, right? Maharaj, he's not, she's not an ordinary woman, but we can see how menially she is serving her husband, right? So and it's not easy also for her, but she's doing it, right? Because that's why how she was trained by her father, right? So let's move ahead. 11. Anybody wants to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'll read.
Yeah.
Translations and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Thereafter, some time having passed, the Ashwini Kumara brothers, the heavenly physicians, happened to come to Chavanya Muni's ashram. After offering them respectful obeisances, Chavanya Muni requested them to give him youthful life, or they were able to do so. Purport. The heavenly physicians, like the Ashwini Kumaras, could give youthful life even to one who was advanced in age. Indeed, great yogis with their mystic powers can even bring a dead body back to life if structure of the body is in order. We have already discussed this in connection with Bali Maharaj soldiers and their treatment by Shukracharya. Modern medical science has not yet discovered how to bring a dead body back to life or bring youthful energy to the old body. But from these verses, we can understand that such treatment is possible if one is able to take knowledge from the Vedic physicians. The Ashwini Kumaras were experts in Ayurveda, as was Dhanavantri. In every department of material science, there is a perfection to be achieved, and to achieve it, one must consult the Vedic literature. The highest perfection is to become a devotee of the Lord. To attain this perfection, one must consult Srimad Bhagavatam, which is understood to be the ripe fruit of the Vedic desire tree. Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. So now the Ashwini Kumaras they are visiting the ashram of Chavanya Muni, and Chavanya Muni request him to give youthful life so that he can also serve his wife, basically. So now uh, we can see that with yogic powers, I mean, we have so many of these examples in our Vedic literature where as mentioned here, Bali Maharaj, I mean Shukracharya being able to bring the dead back, and then we also have how Kardama Muni by his yogic power becomes he produces so many things, and he becomes young and beautiful, and then serves Devhuti, right? So similarly here, Chavanya Muni, he wants to have a youthful body in order to serve his wife, and let's see how these two Ashwini Kumaras help him, right? And Prabhupada here makes a statement that it is possible to have such kind of treatment if we are able to take in knowledge from the Vedic information. Now in Kali Yuga, all this is destroyed because people will take undue advantage of it. So this Vedic knowledge, therefore, has been lost. In Kali Yuga, we will not be able to get this Vedic knowledge that by which using which we can do such kind of things like bringing back life to a dead body or making people young again. See, there were many experiments done, right? There was one billionaire who wanted to basically he actually funded that research to see if they can discover how to become young again. But that experiment, those, I mean, the billions of dollars were spent, and then those experiments all failed. But modern science is trying to actually do that, but it will always fail because they don't have that knowledge. And in Kali Yuga, that knowledge from the Vedic, I mean, it says that knowledge from the Vedic information. Now that is completely lost because in Kali Yuga, we will make bad use of it. That's why this knowledge is lost. But it doesn't mean that it does not exist. So the problem here is we think that since it is not possible, it is not true. But that is not correct, right? If we cannot do today, doesn't mean that it did not exist sometime, right? That's where people don't want to believe in these scriptures, right? That oh this cannot happen. This is all mythology, right? But it is not mythology. It used to happen, but now that knowledge is lost, and we cannot do it now. But as I said, it doesn't mean that it never happened. So so that's what Prabhupada is also saying, that it is possible if one takes knowledge from the Vedic information, and that knowledge, unfortunately, is lost in Kali Yuga. So let's move ahead. So I mean, see, there are still yogis. It doesn't mean that there are still great yogis in the Himalayas who have mystic powers, and even we have read in Journey Home, right, that Maharaj met one of these yogis, or the first book of Maharaj, right, where he meets this great yogi in the Himalayas who comes there, and he pretends to be dead, and the doctor comes and he checks the pulse, and he says, oh, he's dead. And then right after that, the person gets up and again goes back to Himalayas. So that story is mentioned by Maharaj himself in his book. And so there are great yogis who still have these powers, but this knowledge and information is not available or is lost in Kali Yuga. Let's move ahead. Chapter verse 12. Anybody wants to read?
I can do, Prabhuji, if nobody is doing.
Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah. Verse, please. Can you scroll up?
Yeah.
Graham grahishe somasya yagne vam apyasomapo क्रियतां मे वयोरूपं प्रमदानां यद ईप्सितम्. Chavana Muni said, although you are ineligible to drink somarasa in sacrifices, I promise to give you a full pot of it. Kindly arrange beauty and youth for me, because they are attractive to young women. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So yes, so Chavanya Muni wants to become young, right? So he asked Ashwini Kumaras to do it for him because they are capable, right? They are physicians, so they are capable. They have that knowledge. So he asked them to do it for him, and in and and for that he's ready to give them Somarasa. Now Somarasa is a, you can say, kind of a heavenly liquor, and since these are physicians, they are not allowed to drink. And but Chavanya Muni says that I will provide you that. Okay. So translation for 9.3.13, the great physicians, the Ashwini Kumaras, the Ashwini Kumaras very gladly accepted Chavanya Muni's proposal. Thus they told the Brahmana, just dive into this lake of successful life. One who bathes in this life has his desires fulfilled. So they take him to a lake and ask him to take a bath there. 14th,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Go ahead.
Yeah. After
What?
saying this, yeah.
Go ahead, Prabhu. Sorry.
After saying this, the Ashwini Kumaras caught hold of Chavanamuni, who was old, diseased, invalid with loose skin, white hair, and veins visible all over his body, and all three of them entered the lake. Purport. Chavanamuni was so old that he could not enter the lake alone. Thus, the Ashwini Kumaras caught hold of his body and the three of them entered the lake. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you can see how old Chavanya Muni was. He was so feeble that he could not enter the lake alone, right? So that's where the Ashwini Kumaras hold him and take him to the lake. Thereafter, three men with very beautiful bodily features emerged from the lake. They were nicely dressed and decorated with earrings and garlands of lotuses. All of them were of the same standard of beauty. So they all to Ashwini Kumaras and Chavanya Muni, they come out of the lake and they have become very beautiful, right? Ashwini Kumaras are already beautiful, and Chavanya Muni now becomes very beautiful. 16th.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Yeah,
Prabhuji. Dandavat
please go ahead.
Pranam.
Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead. Dandavat Pranam,
Text,
Mataji.
text 16. तान् निरीक्ष्य वरारोह स्वरूपान् सूर्यवर्चसः अजानति पतिं साध्वी अश्विनौ शरणं ययौ. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The chaste and very beautiful Sukanya could not distinguish her husband from the two Ashwini Kumaras, for they were equally beautiful. Not understanding who her real husband was, she took shelter of the Ashwini Kumaras. Sukanya could have selected any one of them as her husband, for one could not distinguish among them, but because she was chaste, she took shelter shelter of the Ashwini Kumaras, so that they could inform her who her actual husband was. A chaste woman will never be anyone other than her husband, even if it be someone equally as handsome and beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you can see that how chaste Sukanya is. She does not understand because she could not distinguish. All three of them were looking beautiful. So she just prays to Ashwini Kumaras to tell her who her husband is, right? And we can clearly see the chastity of Sukanya here, right? So let's move ahead. Text 17th.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Danatana Prabhuji, go ahead.
Is someone want to read or I can?
Yeah, can I try, Prabhu? 17?
Yes, Prabhu,
Yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Datsayitva patintastai prat pativratyena toshitau dushimamastra yayat manena trivistapam. The Ashwini Kumar translation by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Ashwini Kumars were very pleased to see Sukanya's chastity and faithfulness. Thus they showed her, the Shavana Muni, her husband, and after taking permission from him, they returned to heavenly planets in their plane. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. Thank you. So let's move ahead. 18th translation. Thereafter, go ahead. Sorry, anybody wants to?
Translation
Yeah.
So
You can
there
read.
are
You can read the shloka also, Prabhuji, if you can.
Yakshamano atasaryate chavanasya gata dadasha duhitu parshave purusham suryavarchasam. Thereafter, King Saryati, desiring to perform a sacrifice, went to the residence of Chavanamuni. There he saw by the side of his daughter a very beautiful young man, as bright as sun.
Hare Krishna. So the father is coming to the daughter's place, right? He's visiting Chavanya Muni's ashram again, right? Because he wanted to perform some sacrifice. So he wanted Chavanya Muni to perform the sacrifice for him, and so he comes and visits his daughter. And there he sees a beautiful young man, because when he married his daughter, he was a very old man. So he's surprised actually. And let's see what happens then.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Go ahead. You want
Thank
to
you.
read the translation?
I'll read 19 shloka and translation.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji.
Aja dushitaram praha krutapadha bivandanam asishcha prayanjano nati priti manayuva. After receiving obeisances from his daughter, the king, instead of offering blessings to her, appeared very displeased and spoke as follows.
Yeah. So Hare Krishna. So Chavanyam, I mean, King Saryati is actually surprised, right? Because he had married her daughter to an old man, and now he's seeing a young man. So he's surprised and he's angry actually, and displeased, right? So and let's see why he's displeased and what he said.
Hey, Prabhu?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Yes, what I tried. Chikishitam te kimidam patistvaya pralambha pralambhito lokanamaskrito munihi yetvam jaradrastamasatya sammatam vihaya jharam bhajase mamadhagam. Krishna. Translation of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O unchaste girl, what is that you have desired to do? You have cheated the most respectable husband, who is honored by everyone. For I see that because he was old, deceased, and therefore unattractive, you have left his company to accept as your husband this young man, who appears to be a beggar from the street. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada. This shows the value of Vedic culture. According to the circumstances, Sukanya had been given a husband who was too old to be compatible with her. Because Shavanmuni was deceased and was very old, he was certainly unfit for a beautiful daughter of King Saryat. Nonetheless, her father expected her to be faithful to her husband. When he suddenly saw that his daughter has accepted someone else, even though the man was young and handsome, he immediately chastised her as Asati, unchaste, because he assumed that she had accepted another man in presence of her husband. According to Vedic culture, even if a young woman is given to old husband, she must respectfully serve him. This is chastity. It is not because she dislikes her husband and she may give up and accept another. This is great. This is against Vedic culture. According to Vedic culture, a woman must accept her husband given to her by her parents and remain chaste and faithful to him. Therefore, King Saryati was surprised to see a young woman by the side of Sukanya. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you can see why King Saryati was displeased, right? Because he saw a young man and he thought that he's not. I mean, my daughter has actually cheated Chavanya Muni, and he became angry actually. But we'll see that as Chavanya Muni had become young and in fact Sukanya was serving her husband only. So we can see that this is what the Vedic culture was, right? The wife once married, or a woman once married, used to serve the husband, irrespective of whether he's compatible or not. I mean, it was not like that people used to do this uneven marriages. No, that was not the case. This was just due to the circumstances, right? It is clearly mentioned here, according to the circumstances. Now, due to some unforeseen or due to by the will of providence, this marriage had happened, right? And it was expected of Sukanya that she will be faithful to Chavanya Muni. That was what it was the expectation of the parents, right? And that is, I mean, uh, again, we can see the culture and the behavior of parents also towards their daughter. That once she is married, they are no longer the controller, or whatever the husband says that my daughter has to follow. That was what used to be the culture, and that's where the parents used to not interfere in their daughter's home. But now today we can see that they interfere in their daughter's home, and that also leads to clashes and problems. So here we can see that, in fact, you can see that King Saryati is not even aware of what has happened, right? In those days, there were no communication, right? So there was no way the daughter could have told his father that this is what has happened. So he just comes and visits and sees this, and then he becomes surprised. So this is what was our culture, is the culture that once married, the daughter is now in the control of the husband, and he will take care. And that was what the parents used to think and do, right? And the king is very surprised to see somebody else with his daughter, and that's where he becomes very displeased. He is not praising him. Oh, now you have found a good husband, so good for you, very nice, you can enjoy. No, that whatever had happened, you have not followed the Vedic culture, right? That's why he becomes displeased. Okay, right, let's move ahead. 21.
Krishna Prabhu, can I read?
Yes, Babuji, please.
कथं मतिस्ते अवगतान्यथा सतां कुलप्रसूते कुलदूषणां त्विदं बिभर्षिजारं यदपत्रपाकुलं पितुश्च भर्तुश्च नयस्वदस्तमः. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, good.
translation. Oh, my daughter, who were born in a respectable family, how you are degraded your consciousness in this way. How is it that you are shamelessly maintaining a paranorm, paramour,
Par- hmm.
paramour? You will thus degrade the dynasties of both your father and your husband to hellish life. Purport. It is quite clear that according to Vedic culture, a woman who accepts a paramour of or a second husband in this presence of a husband or she has married is certainly responsible for the degradation of her father's family and the family of her husband. The rule of Vedic culture is in this regard are strictly observed in the respectable families of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and even today, and only the Shudras are degraded in this matter. For a woman of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya class to accept another husband in the presence of the husband she has married, or the file for divorce or accept a boyfriend or paramour is unacceptable in the Vedic culture. Therefore, King Sharyati, who did not know that the real fact of Chavana Muni's transformation, was surprised to see the behavior of his daughter. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So again, very, very clearly, right? It is mentioned and what the Vedic culture is, uh, that once a woman is married, she is chaste to her husband and does not, I mean, see this whole modern culture where, as I said earlier also, right, the women are working and they spend so much time in the office and then they and unfortunately, see what happens, right? The consequence of that, right? Both your father and your husband, they go to hellish life, right? That and the dynasty degrade the dynasty is not just immediate father, right? The dynasty, the complete, you can see that forefathers and others. If you do this, this is all go to the hellish life, right? So that's where it was considered so very sinful. But modern days, the less we talk about it, the better it is. So we'll not discuss in too much detail. We can all see what is happening in today's day and time. But and this is the one of the effects of Kali Yuga, right? As this progresses, Kali Yuga progresses, this will become worse and worse and worse and worse. So this whole, in fact, see even today, right? Even today, if you see, you talk about this, right? You just try to make a post on social media about this, and you'll see what kind of responses you will get on that, right? People have, I mean, they have they don't want to follow any rules or regulations and my way or highway kind of thing, right? So and they don't want to understand what will be the consequence of it, right? They cannot see the consequence in this life, but then there are consequences. See, the rules are very clear. It doesn't mean that if you don't know the rule and so then you will not be punished. So you'll be punished and that punishment is very, very bad. So and we are so very fortunate to have this knowledge and understanding and you see how our scriptures used to drive our life, right? They were clearly the way, I mean, people used to get knowledge only from the scriptures, and that's how they used to behave in their life. Now it is totally reverse. People don't want to follow the scriptures and make their own rules and make it according to their conveniences. And convenience is all about enjoying the senses, but that leads to what is known as hellish life, right? So the king, I mean, now we are talking about long time back, right? That's where he becomes so surprised that how come my daughter is doing this, right? It was unheard of in that era, right? And when he sees it, he gets a shock, basically, the king. Let's see what how the daughter responds to this now.
Shall
Yeah.
I read?
Yes,
From
Mataji, please go ahead.
Prabhuji?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Text. एवं ब्रुवाणं पितरं स्मयमाना शुचिस्मिता उवाच ताता जामाता तवैष भृगुनन्दनः. Translation. Sukanya, however, being very proud of her chastity, smiled upon hearing the rebukes of her father. She smilingly told him, "My dear father, this young man by my side is your actual son-in-law, the great sage Chavana, who was born in the family of Bhrigu." Purport. Although the father chastised the daughter, assuming that she had accepted another husband, the daughter knew that she was completely honest and chaste, and therefore she was smiling. When she explained that her husband Chavanamuni had now been transferred into a young man, she was very proud of her chastity, and thus she smiled as she talked with her father. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So the daughter did not become angry of the father that you don't know what I'm you don't know. No. She smiled and simply responded calmly to her father because because she knew that she was chaste, right? There was no fear or anything in her, and she was actually happy, right, to explain. So that's how Sukanya responded to her father, right? And it is all because she was a chaste wife, right? 23. Thus, Sukanya explained how her husband had received the beautiful body of a young man. When the king heard this, he was very surprised, and in great pleasure, he embraced his beloved daughter. So the king became very happy, and then he embraced his daughter with pleasure. That, wow, very nice. Let's move ahead. Chavanya Muni, by his own prowess, enabled King Saryati to perform the Soma Yajna. The Muni offered a full pot of Soma Rasa to the Ashwini Kumaras, although they were unfit to drink it. Now, Chavanya Muni is fulfilling the promise made to Ashwini Kumaras that I will give you this Soma Rasa. Okay. And since Ashwini Kumaras were prohibited to drink it, but then by the power of Chavanya Muni, he provides this pot of Somarasa to Ashwini Kumaras. 25. Anybody wants to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'll read.
Yeah.
Translation. King Indra, being perturbed and angry, wanted to kill Chavanya Muni, and therefore he impetuously took up his thunderbolt. But Chavanya Muni, by his powers, paralyzed Indra's arm that held the thunderbolt.
Hare Krishna. So now King Indra becomes angry because Chavanya Muni has provided Somarasa to Ashwini Kumaras who are prohibited to drink it. 26th. Yeah.
Great, Prabhu. Translation. Although the Ashwini Kumaras were only physicians and were therefore excluded from drinking Somarasa in sacrifices, the demigods agreed to allow them henceforward to drink it.
Hare Krishna. Anybody knows what is Somarasa? As what I understand is it is a heavenly, or it's a kind of a heavenly drink, and it is a pleasure giving drink. Now I'm not very sure about what it is.
It's a
Prabhu, it's not
pleasure-giving drink.
sorry, go ahead.
It's a pleasure-giving drink, but not an intoxicant.
Okay.
And Prabhuji, it's not Amrita also. People
Yeah, it's not
sometimes mistake
Amrita.
that.
It's not Amrita. Yeah, that I know. It's not Amrita. Yeah.
It's just a pleasure giving, extremely pleasure giving, something that we can't even fathom or imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe healthy also. I don't know. I don't know how to speculate.
Yeah. Let's move ahead. Then 28th.
Translation. King Sharayati begot 3 sons named Uttana Barahi, Antara, and Burisena. From Antara came a son named Revata.
Yeah. So now again descriptions of the sons, right? He got 3 sons: Uttanbari, Anartha, and Burisena. Now from Anartha came a son named Revata. Now let's see why all this is mentioned. Let's move ahead. I will read them. Translation. O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of enemies, these Revata constructed a kingdom named as Kusasthali in the depths of the ocean. There he lived and ruled such tracts of land as Anartha, etc. He had 100 very nice sons, of whom the eldest was Kakudmi. So now Saryati, then his son, then son's son, and what kingdom that is described here. And then there is a mention of his son, which is Kakudmi. Again, why this is mentioned, let's move ahead. We'll see. Now, taking his own daughter, Revati. Now, Kakudmi has a daughter named Revati. Kakudmi went to Lord Brahma in Brahmaloka, which is transcendental to the 3 modes of material nature, and inquired about a husband for her. So Kakudmi's daughter is Revati, and he inquires from Lord Brahma about the husband. It appears that Brahmaloka, the abode of Lord Brahma, is also transcendental above the 3 modes of material nature. Apavritam. Now, here Prabhupada is making a statement. It appears, right? Because it is mentioned, right? That which is transcendental. Brahma lokam avapritam, right? Avapritam is transcendental to the 3 qualities. See, we have read that it is also Brahma Loka is a very, very high up in the right. It's the topmost in the material world, right? But and we but here it is mentioned that it is above the three modes of material nature, right? So kind of little, you can say, conflicting with what our understanding is, and that's why Prabhupada is also, it appears he's making that statement here, right? It appears that this is also mentioned. It appears that this is also true, right? He's also not very sure, but as there are many references, right, where description of Brahma Loka is given in much more detail, but what is mentioned here is what Prabhupada is translating. Text 30.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I was just going to say that Prabhupada very nicely put that word appears like because there is nothing in this material world which is above the three modes of
Yeah,
material.
yeah.
Right? Brahma Bhavana Loko Punaravartino Arjuna. From that Brahma Loka till the Patala, everybody is affected by the three modes of material nature. In fact, just to teach us a lesson, even Lord Brahma, they can say, appears like or gets affected a little by
Yeah.
the three modes of material nature, and he does some of his leelas, like he getting affected by his own daughter, or he becoming angry. These are all symptoms of three modes of mental nature in action, but definitely not like here. Maybe there people become angry once in a life. Here we become every day.
Yeah. Correct. So that's where that it appears he is just nicely putting that, right, because that's what is mentioned there. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for adding that.
Sorry,
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
I'll try to read this one.
Yeah.
When Kakudmi arrived there, Lord Brahma was engaged in hearing musical performances by Gandharvas and had not a moment to talk with him. Therefore, Kakudmi waited, and at the end of the musical performances, he offered his obeisances to Lord Brahma and thus submitted his long-standing desire.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So now you can see the kind of respect, right, Kakudmi is giving to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is like Lord Brahma, right? So the dealings between, you can see how he's waiting, even though, see, he's hearing some musical performance only, but then the king respects it and waits for Lord Brahma and then offers obeisances, and then he talks to him. So this is the culture, right, where people respect, and we can see that behavior here. Now he wants to talk about the marriage of his daughter. Kakudmi wants to talk about the marriage of his daughter. Now, again, why that special thing is mentioned, it will all come. Let's see. After hearing his words, Lord Brahma, who is most powerful, laughed loudly and said to Kakudmi, O king, all those whom you have decided within the core of your heart to accept as your son-in-law have passed away in the course of time, right? Because he went to Brahma Loka, where a second here, there is like a millennium here. So the concept of time. So since Kakudmi went to Brahma Loka and he is waiting there for some time, things have moved very fast in on the planet Earth, right? And so Kakudmi, whoever he might have thought should be the husband of my daughter, they have all passed away. And that's why Lord Brahma is laughing. Let's move ahead. 32, anybody wants to read?
Shall I read?
Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Text 32. तत्पुत्रपौत्रनप्तॄणां गोत्राणि च न शृण्महे कालोऽभियाते स्त्रिणवच चतुर्युग विकल्पितः. Translation. 27 Chaturyugas have already passed. Those upon whom you may have decided are now gone, and so are their sons, grandsons, and other descendants. You cannot even hear about their names. Purport. During Lord Brahma's day, 14 Manus or 1000 Mahayugas pass away. Brahma informed King Kakudmi that 27 Mahayugas, each consisting of the 4 periods of Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali, had already passed. All the kings and other great personalities born in those yugas had now departed from memory into obscurity. This is the way of time as it moves through past, present and future. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. So since, as I said, right, the time factor is different, and so many things have passed, and so now Kakudmi, whomever he considered, they have all passed away. This is the what is the cycle of time, and it is very elaborately described, right, in Srimad Bhagavatam as well. So let's move ahead. 33. O king, leave here and offer your daughter to Lord Baladeva, who is still present. He is most powerful. Indeed, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, whose plenary portion is Lord Vishnu. Your daughter is fit to be given to him in charity. So that's why that description of Kakudmi and her daughter and all that is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Lord Baladev, because Kakudmi actually gives his daughter to Lord Baldev, right? So Revati is wife of Lord Baldev, right? And Lord Brahma instructs Kakudmi to give his daughter to Lord Baldev. Hare Krishna. And look at the fortune of Kakudmi, that he is able to marry his daughter to Lord Baldev. Okay. 34. Lord Baldev is the supreme personality of Godhead. One who hears and chants about him is purified, because he is always the well-wisher of all living entities. He has descended with all his paraphernalia to purify the entire world and lessen its burden. So now Lord Brahma is telling Kakudmi about Lord Baldev, and how he has appeared to purify the entire world, right? So this is, and Kakudmi then agrees to give his daughter to Lord Baldev. 35. Having received this order from Lord Brahma, Kakudmi offered obeisances unto him and returned to his own residence. He then saw that his residence was vacant, having been abandoned by his brothers and other relatives who were living in all directions because of fear of such higher living beings as the yakshas. So he comes back to his home and finds it vacant, and because so much time has passed away, and now the situation is totally different, but he still finds his residence, right? He then saw his residence which was vacant. 36. Thereafter, the king gave his most beautiful daughter in charity to the supremely powerful Baldeva, and then retired from worldly life and went back to Badrika Ashram to please Naranarayana. So now this ends the chapter here, and we have seen one of the dynasties, right, of the Manus, right? So then again this will move forward, and then there are some pastimes of the Supreme Lord, and then finally Lord Ramchandra's appearance and his activities are described briefly here in this canto. So because he comes in the same dynasty, and Parikshit Maharaj had asked this question, and that's why Sukadev Goswami is answering with all these names and details, and so you can see that, see, the Bhagavatam, I mean, is describing a snapshot of I mean, what we have, right, is a snapshot of certain period only, right? So that's why we know only some of the pastimes of the Lord. So there are so many pastimes of the Lord that are not, I mean, we are not, I mean, for this Brahmanda, that is what is our knowledge, right? Even if we study this much, it is good enough for us, but the pastimes of the Lord are unlimited, and Bhagavatam gives a snapshot of a certain period of the pastimes of the Lord, right? That's what is there in Bhagavatam, but the Lord's pastimes are unlimited, and the Bhagavatam gives us some glimpse of that pastimes of the Lord, and all these details on those names and all the great personalities. Now, if you go and dig into each of these personalities, you will find so many pastimes of those great personalities as well. And the knowledge of them is available in some other scriptures and so on and so forth, right? So, but I mean, we may not get into all of that, but you can see the great knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam and our Vedic scriptures, and how these scriptures actually, you can say, molded our life always, right? We are lucky that we have access to these scriptures, and our life in Bharatvarsha was based on these scriptures, and we were not impacted or affected. But as Kali Yuga is progressing, we'll see this effect of Kali Yuga, and how it degrades our life, and slowly this concept of marriage, concept of all that will simply vanish going forward. And we can see that happening one generation only, right? Look at our parents, look at our grandparents, look at us. Now look, you'll see in our children what will happen. So be prepared, and we will see that effect. There's nothing which will. The only thing we can do is to train our children and help them understand this knowledge, and then it is all the will of providence what will happen. So with this, we'll end this class. If there are questions, we'll discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you for a nice class, Prabhuji. Um, I would only say that, what I felt, Prabhupada was bold enough to put it outright in some of the
Yes,
purpose.
yes. It is very difficult.
Very difficult, especially about wife and husband and family life. Yeah. I was only thinking that everything is designed to make us go home back to God. So in Kali Yuga, the independence is more. In Kali Yuga, the independence is more.
Yes.
So there has to be people. 1 minute, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Now, I was just saying that, Prabhu, in Kali Yuga, independence is more. And to add to that, earlier, uh, nobody had money, right?
Correct. Nobody had
Cash.
money.
Nobody had cash. They had gold, but there was no cash. Land was there. Cows were there. Big zamindars, huge estates were there. But nobody had cash. So if you want to do some illicit activity or you want to do something for yourself, it was not easily possible because you have to give away land.
Yeah.
But now it is converted into cash. Land is still there.
Yeah.
But it's convertible into cash, and people have a lot of cash. And naturally, they are independent. The way they are brought up is also independent. So sins are increasing, and relationships are decreasing. My measurement of my relationship is how much am I enjoying. That's it. And marriage is also, purpose of marriage is sense gratification with a contract. Parents are also utilizing their children. Children are also utilizing their parents. So it's only going to become horrible and horrible. But when we read purports like this, when we read chapters like this, it's a lesson to the whole family, uh, wife, husband, that we are not going to find happiness.
Yeah.
That is what I was thinking when I was
Yeah.
hearing
And
this
Prabhuji, you
class.
rightly said, right? Nobody, I mean, Prabhupada is very, very bold, and he is not compromising on anything. He says that right on the face of it, right? You agree with it, don't agree, that is all different, but he tells that very, very clearly. Today, nobody will has that courage to write such kind of purports, I would say. Nobody. They will understand. I mean, he was so very truthful about it, right? This is what it is. You take it or don't take it. And that's what is the greatness, right? to say it upfront and very clear.
And remember, who is he telling? He's telling Westerners.
Yes, he's telling the Westerners, and and these purports were read by them, and they in fact translated, right? They wrote it. He just
Yeah.
dictated on the dictaphone, and then they wrote it, right? So he was, you can see that greatness.
So fundamental aspect is Krishna. Yesterday we were reading Bhagavad Gita. He's telling what is how he is patience, tolerance, compassion in a feminine, in a woman, right? So, and how he is, courage and everything in a man. So he has created man and woman for a purpose. The nature has been given for a purpose. But our so-called stupid education and media has convinced us that both are equal.
Yeah.
How can both be equal? And Prabhupada, equally told about men also. Prabhupada equally told about men also that men are like dogs looking for, looking for a woman. That is their nature. Now you accept it or not. Even Bhaktivikas Maharaj and Sri Advait Maharaj, Jay Advait Maharaj, many places, in the explanations from different scriptures, they have told that this is what is a man. Okay, that's generally a man. I'm not telling every man, but that is the predominant aspect of man. He is trying to be a Purusha. He's trying to be an enjoyer, right? And his highest enjoyment is enjoyment through a woman. And he is not satisfied, right? He is all the time looking for it, whether he's a 90-year-old man, 70-year-old. Actually, physical enjoyment is not the need of a woman. It's more of a man, and he's always looking for that. And more than that, dominating, I have so much control over my wife or woman, like that. That is his nature. And that is how, if you see the old kingdoms, the way they were designed, many palaces, many queens, many this, many that. But the goal of life was always kept in centric that, how do you achieve the goal of life? Having known this is the nature, having known that this is the nature of a man and a woman, how are you going to achieve goal of life? For man, what is austerity? For woman, what is austerity? That was very clearly defined. And the society, the whole culture, the system was created in such a way that a man is controlled. The doggish nature of a man to go and find another female dog all the time is controlled. Now, how is it controlled? Not by stick, but by a carrot. Right? If you go in front of a dog with a stick, it's going to bite you. So there is no logic in going and trying to control a man with your words. But that cannot be understood by today's people. Yeah, like you said, man is controlled through service, control through love, control through understanding a little better. Patience nahi hai. And by not doing so, woman is thinking, oh, she'll enjoy by subduing a man. She cannot enjoy. She cannot enjoy. So just like, Krishna is the enjoyer, devotee has to be enjoyed. Now, the moment I said that, that means all men are Krishna. See, that thought itself is wrong. That's not the point. How are you going to make it favorable, workable, doable, continue, how can a marriage continue? All these things. So these things in today's world cannot be discussed. Many places, a lot of sannyasis also not discussing. Even in temples, they're not discussing. Because both are at fault. Yeah. Both are at fault. Man, actually, Jayadvaita Maharaj gives a bold lecture in Chopati. I wish I can find that once. The whole growth of woman feminism, equality is not started by a woman. Started by a man. Yeah. Because he wanted the woman to come out of the house. That's when he can hunt, right? Yeah. That's when he can. It's a tactic. Even recently, last year, I was in GBC college, and one Prabhupada disciple, Mataji, amazing, lecture she was giving. Prabhupada disciple. I asked her, Mataji, you are Mataji, you are giving so many examples of how Prabhupada dealt with Westerners in those days, etc., etc. Mataji, how much you've seen the society changing from then till now? I wish it would have been recorded, Prabhuji. She's a Westerner, okay? And she gave an amazing answer, Prabhu. She told how we women are being exploited in the name of modern life and how it all started. Woman was very happy even in America, taking care of the family, satisfying the husband. There was no divorce.
Correct.
But she gave an example of washing machine. How a man created a washing machine, which now he has to earn more to buy that washing machine.
Correct.
And when the washing machine comes to the house, woman is happy that the washing machine is doing some of her work. So woman is available now. And in that available time, she has to find happiness outside the family life. And a man has found her outside and he is now enjoying. So she goes on, she explains all those things, how it's
This
all led to
consumerism, Prabhuji, this
consumerism.
consumerism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, she spoke about consumerism. 99% of the things in the house are not needed when a woman is properly, situated. But now she wants more time. For what? Her health is gone. Her relationship is gone. She doesn't cook for her children. She doesn't cook for her husband. There are cooks being employed from outside. Where is the exchange of service and love? There is nothing. There's no relationship. There's no relationship. And man is also okay. You know what? Do it. I'll throw the money. I'll find what I need to find. So both are thinking that they will find enjoyment keeping money in the center or keeping, things in the center. But both are not listening to Srila Prabhupada. Not ready to listen to Srila Prabhupada. Right? So they will suffer. False ego will make them suffer. That is what is happening, right? That is what is happening. Huh? Sonia Gandhi created, what is it? 498A. Recently, Balgand Prabhu was saying. A stupid law which gives women to just put a case without any warrant. People, entire family can be arrested.
Correct.
For what? For what? And giving that right, you are sending her into marriage. Now, let me tell you, this 498A is not there in Muslims. It is not there in Christians. It is only applicable for Hindus.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's a weapon created to destroy our family culture? Please. And it is very nicely working also. If you go to a case now, if you go to a court now,
yeah.
More
And
than
Prabhupada
50%
mentions
cases
that,
are this
right?
one.
That Prabhupada is mentioning that at that time, right? Either husband or wife will take advantage of the divorce laws. That is the exact step.
Exactly it is happening. See, Prabhu, I'll tell you, even in devotee houses, we are hesitant to train our own children. Husband is wearing dhoti kurta and sitting in the hall. Wife is wearing sari and sitting in the hall. Son is sitting with a Bermuda with no tilak in the other room. And when you say, where are your children? He is hesitant to even call them. Why? Are rehn do na yaar. Let them be in their world. They'll not understand. And another thinking, no, they should choose. Really? Is that the way training was given in the Vedic culture? No, it was not. But what to do? Now we have gone to a point with the help of media. Actually, we are in a situation that we can train them. No, we're really hoping one day, okay, maybe he'll become a devotee. We're just hoping, one day, maybe some miracle will happen. Without my training, you'll also get ruined. There's no doubt about it. But what can you do? We can't do anything. So, Saransh is very simple, Prabhu. Just extending and acknowledging Srila Prabhupada's purport is that chant, get out. There's nothing much you can do. Don't try to fix this situation. There is no wife, there is no husband, there is no children, there is no parents. The whole environment is just created for our own enjoyment, right? Even if you speak the truth, people will look at you like, oh, he's trying to speak the truth so he can enjoy. That is the situation. It is horribly deteriorated. So you can't, I mean, there is no reception, right? There is no reception. People are not ready to listen. They don't want to listen also. If you tell something that, oh, what are you following to tell? Arey Baba, I am also telling that I am not following. But at least listen to the truth. No, you don't tell me. I don't need to listen. Like you nicely pointed out, they would not interfere in their daughter's affairs after marriage. But now they're training the daughter that she can go and interfere in the in-laws' house and mess up the family, right? So that is how bad it is. Yeah. There was a reason properties were not given. They were, dowry system was not there actually at one time. It's all created later on due to sense enjoyment and all that. But the whole system was designed to go back to Krishna. And for that, there were austerities. King would not go and ask his daughter, will you marry, this person? Of course, the aspect of Swayamvar was there, everything was there. But kings knew that the daughters also will understand why they are doing what is he doing. Sons also will understand what is the responsibility of marrying somebody, taking care of them, etc. We can go on this forever,
Yeah, Prabhuji.
There is no end to this. But point is very simple. Chant and be happy and accept the way things are. Preach to yourself whatever best you can do. And at least by reading the Srila Prabhupada purports on Saturday and Sunday on Ekadashi together as one group, let's see that this as an opportunity. I am seeing this as an opportunity. That is the reminder coming again and again from Srila Prabhupada that become serious and don't try to change the world. Understand how spiritual world is. Get attracted and go back. So this is thank you, bro. I just thought I'll share something. Sorry
No,
for
Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for
I'm not
adding
in
so
any
much.
show to speak these things.
No. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Please take care of your health. Your sound seems
Yeah,
you're not well.
continuously कुछ ना कुछ चल रहा है. Yeah, but yeah. Thank you. Anybody else wants to say anything?
Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji, for joining.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa
Bhaktanam Pavaribhyo Vaishnavibhyo Anandrakoti Vaishnavibhyo.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Granthal ki jai.
Jai. Jai Gaur Premanandi. Hare
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.